What is happening, Internet? JGamer Dude here, and I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Bungo Stray Dogs Season 3. So, I've only just recently finished Season 3 last night, and I had a fun time watching the season. I feel like at the end of the day, no matter what happens, there's a good way and a bad way of being able to do flashbacks, and this show does it in better ways than most, which I can absolutely say is a great thing. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. As far as the actual season itself goes, touching on characters' backstories before moving forward with the plot has seemed quite effective in terms of like making us feel for characters that are especially got very particular powers, and as long as that flashback puts a decent amount of impact on you as the viewer, you'll definitely be taking that with you, and that certainly happened with the first few episodes. I think it was the first 3 episodes of season 3 was the actual flashback in relation to Dazai and another character, which was kind of similar to how we learned more about Dazai's past at the beginning of season 2. He seems like an interesting fella, and honestly, he kind of is. Port Mafia is a genuinely interesting organization that has a lot of interesting characters around it. Now, at the end of it all, with the rest of the season, I feel like there's always going to be this back and forth between the main characters and Port Mafia, and then there's sometimes we're going to see characters from, say, the guild appear every now and again, and the not symbiosis, but rather like the coexistence of these 3 groups still very much reminds me of what I saw when I watched Do-Da-Da-Da. Like, I really like Do-Da-Da-Da because we've got multiple different gangs. We've got, like, you know, yellow triangles, blue squares, and then you've got, like, you know, Psycha sycophants and stuff. And then there was also the colorless gang as well. It's like these groups that inherently exist within the single universe can equal parts get along with each other, but then be at their own throats at the exact same time. And it is a fine line to be able to balance those sorts of things. But in addition to that, to be able to write very interesting stories and things that can happen. And Bungo Stray Dogs has interesting characters, and it is written in an interesting way, but I feel like we're kind of missing a little something that could really, really make things bombastic. Season 1 was a great introduction. Season 2 was a good way of being able to sort of move things along. Season 3 was great as well, because it genuinely put a couple of things into perspective, namely the leaders of both parties. When I say both parties, I'm talking about the main character's crew and Port Mafia, which is, I guess, kind of like how Do-Da-Da handled its protagonists, and I suppose to an extent the way in which some of the bosses of Ikebukuro Westgate Park also did a very sort of similar thing. So I certainly had a very fun time watching this series. The characters are still there, like they don't feel particularly boring having watched season 1, 2, and 3 sort of back to back. So it'll be great. It'll be interesting to see how things evolve in season 4, and I do want to, you know, sort of share my thoughts on that. As usual, I'm trying to not say anything that could go into spoilers, because there are some plot lines in here that were kind of cool and carried on from previous seasons that really added more depth to certain characters, like Kyoka, for instance. Kyoka, the little girl, you know, she wants to try and kick the habit of what her previous employer was making her do, and how she's able to not only move away from the villains, but also be able to make herself useful for the main characters, for the protagonists in this case. And she is a great support character in a number of different ways, but she's also evolving and adapting just as much as the main character is. Yeah, the main character was kind of like this sort of whingy, whiny dude in the original season, and now has come such a long way since then. You can kind of see the changes in some of the more important characters that need to adapt and evolve, while there are some like Dazai that just kind of remain the same. And honestly, no complaints there, because sometimes some characters do, I feel like, need to stay the same because, you know, they've been fully arced out in terms of like character arcs, progressions, and things like that. I feel like they've had so much of a story that the only way to be able to tell their side is to look back into the past and be able to sort of bring that forward to the present day from a flashback, which is kind of what they've been doing here. And I definitely have to say that I had a great time watching it. I think I'm going to be giving season 3 as well an 8 out of 10. I feel like in terms of consistency, it's actually holding up pretty well. Like, I did consider giving season 2 a 7, but then I was like, nah, I still had too much of a good time. And honestly, a good time is better than a bad time, because usually when it comes to shows, especially those that go for a long ass amount of time, you want to tell people I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So at the end of the day, that's kind of how it is. But yeah, so I'm gonna definitely be giving it an 8 out of 10 on my anime list when I log into it and actually do put it in. But yeah, other than that, I've shared my thoughts on the show. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you have seen Bungo Stray Dogs, you know, let me know what you guys think. I'll try and respond to as many comments as I can. But also, you know, like it if you like that I talk about anime. If there's something you want me to change the way that I'm talking about it, let me know. Do you want me to do some spoilerish discussions? Again, also let me know. You know, like the video and share it with people, and if possible, subscribe, because that certainly would help the channel sort of grow a little bit, you know, show the videos off to more people. And I'm hoping that we can sort of bring in more people, you know, to watch, enjoy the stuff that I'm talking about, and hopefully find more people to enjoy the same things I do, which is, you know, half of the stuff that I talk about. So with all that said and done, I'll see you guys next time.